And yeah, online people, can you please confirm me my voice is audible or not?
Yes.
Thank you. And hope you are able to see my screen also.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, hi, good morning. As part of yesterday's session, we discussed about BigQuery, and we discussed about how we need to use the BigQuery, and we discussed about what all are the different features of the BigQuery. So these are all the topics we covered as part of our yesterday's session. Just we'll do the quick recap on it. So what is a BigQuery? In simple words, we can able to say Google BigQuery is a kind of a cloud data warehouse, and this is GCP fully managed service. And if you want to discuss it in the detailed way, so what we can able to say, BigQuery is a cost-effective, serverless, auto-managed, multi-cloud, highly scalable, and highly available cloud-based data warehouse. And this service can able to handle huge amount of data within the seconds or within the minutes. So first one is a kind of a simple definition for our easy understanding. Second one is nothing but it's a kind of a detailed explanation on top of your BigQuery. And yesterday we discussed about what is meant by cost effective, what is meant by serverless, what is meant by auto managed, what is meant by multi-cloud, and what is the meaning of highly scalable, what is the meaning of highly available. All these are the topics we covered as part of our yesterday's session. Other than that, what else features we are having for the BigQuery? It's a SQL friendly and lightning fastest queries, and no need to buy or no need to configure any hardware, and secure and control. And last one is pay as you go. All these are the features we are having for the BigQuery. Now today we'll more focus on the practical side and this. So we'll try to understand how we need to use the BigQuery and how we can connect to the BigQuery. We'll go one by one. So if you want to connect to BigQuery, how to go? First, we need to open our console. So go to the console. Within the console, in the left side, go to the navigation menu. Within the navigation menu, we need to go to the analytics section. So in the analytics section, we can able to see BigQuery service. Just we have to click on the BigQuery, or if you want, select the BigQuery. In the right side, you can able to see SQL workspace, data transfers, and all these things and it. But just we'll go one by one. First, click on the BigQuery directly. Click on BigQuery. So once you click on the BigQuery here, what will happen? You can able to see the window like this. Now in this window, if you want to go to the query window, then what we have to do, we need to click on the compose a new query. If you click on this, automatically it will open the query window. Click on compose a new query. Open BigQuery console. Click on compose new query. Now coming to third step, what we'll do here is we'll create tables by using commands. So first we'll try to understand in the BigQuery how we can able to create the tables by using the commands. And actually in the BigQuery we can able to create the tables multiple ways. We are having the 3-4 different ways to create the tables. We'll cover all those things. We'll start first with the how to create the tables by using the commands. What is meant by commands? How to create the tables in the MySQL? By using create command, we can able to, by using DDL commands, we can able to create the table. What is the first command we are having? Create. By using the create command, you can define the structure. Next, we are having alter command. By using the alter command, you can change the structure. And next one, drop command. By using the drop command, what we can do here, we can able to drop the structure of the table. So these all are the DDL commands. As part of BigQuery also, what we can do here, if you want, we can able to create the table, and we can able to alter the table, and we can able to drop the table by depending on our requirement. But here one important thing we need to remember. Before performing all above operations in BigQuery, first we need to create data set. So what we have to do here, if you want to perform any kind of operations on top of your table, if you want to create the table or alter the table or drop the table, what we have to do first, we need to create the data set, or we can call it as a database. So in the BigQuery, actually we are calling it as a data set only, but it's here. What is the meaning of data set? Data set is nothing but our database only. So if you want to create the table, or if you want to alter the table, or if you want to drop the table in the BigQuery, what is the first step here? We need to create the data set, or we need to create the database. And here, to create data set or database, we can do it from console, or we can do it by using commands also. So what we can do here, if you want to create the database or data set, this activity we can do it from the console, or if you want, we can do the same activity by using the commands also. But what we are planning first, we are planning to do all the activities by using the commands only. Once you can understand how we can able to perform all these activities by using the commands, then we'll discuss about how we can able to perform the same activities by using the console. Indirectly, I'm trying to say we can perform all the activities from the console, or we can able to perform all activities by using the commands in console. And third option, by using Cloud SDK, we can able to perform all the same operations, or by using Python programming also, we can able to perform the same operation. If you observe here, within the console only, we can able to perform this activity two different ways only. One is in the console, you can able to see the option called as a create table. By click on that, we can able to create the table. Otherwise, from the same console, with the help of the commands also, we can able to create the table. Now, what is the approach we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss about the approach called as how to use the commands in the console. With that, first we can able to understand how to do all these activities by using the commands within the console. Once you are good on top of these commands, then what we can do here, we can able to perform the same activities directly by using the console. We'll go one by one, and with that you can able to get a clear picture how we can able to use the BigQuery as part of dealing all the tables. Okay, we'll go one by one. See, once you click on the button, previous button, so you can able to get the window like this. So this window only we can able to call it as a query workspace, or we can able to call it as a query window. Whatever the commands or whatever the queries you want to execute, you can able to run all those queries in this window only. So first we need to come to our BigQuery console. Just I'm showing you one more time. Okay, so once you are in the BigQuery window, here we can able to see the button like this, compose a new query. Just click on this button, compose a new query. Now here, as I told you, if you want to perform any kind of operations in the BigQuery, what is the first step here? We need to create a data set. If you want to create the data set, what we can do here is, if you see in which project we are working in the project called as a Qt sample. Here you can able to see the project name as a Qt sample in the left side panel. Here by click on these three dots, here you can able to see the option called as a create data set, which is nothing but we are creating the data set directly by using the console only. But here we are not doing this activity. First, what we are doing here, I want to create the data set by using the commands. Okay, if you want to do that activity, what is the command we have to use? Yesterday we discussed at the high level. Just give it as a create schema our data set name. So for example, here I'm given the name as a sample Qt. Just I will maximize this. Just 1 second. Okay. So if you want to create the database, we have to give the command called as a create schema name. Here I'm given the name as a create schema sample Qt. But what is the best practice? Yesterday we discussed. Whenever you want to give the schema, better to give it as a your project name dot schema only. So with that, what will happen? This schema will create within your project. So for that reason, give it as a project name dot schema name. Here, what is my project name? My project name is a Qt sample. So we have to give it as Qt sample dot project name. Sorry, data set name. Create schema project name dot data set name. This is the way simply you can able to create the data set. After writing the query, just click on the run button. So once we click on the run button, what is going to happen? It is creating the database called as nothing but sample Qt. This we can call it as a database, or we can call it as a data set. If you want to see that information, what we can do here? Here just you need to click on this button only. This is the Explorer button. Once you click on this, here you can able to see all the list of the databases which are present in your project. In my project, what databases I'm having the sample2 which I created earlier, but today I created the one more database called as a sample Qt. So this is the database we can able to see in the left side panel. If you click on this button, you can able to see all this kind of information. Okay. Now my data set is ready, or my database is ready. Once your data set or database is ready, then what we can do next? We can able to create our tables by depending on our requirement. So if you want to create the table, what is the query we can able to pass? Create table. You can give the table name. So for example, I'm giving the table name as a employee. Then I'm giving employee ID integer, e-name string, salary integer, and department ID integer. So we are giving simply create table name, EID integer, e-name string, salary integer, and DID integer. But tell me, is it the best practice to create the table like this? Yesterday, what we discussed? Whenever you are going to give the table name, what is the best approach? Better to give your database name first. What is the database name? I'm giving Qt sample. Sorry, this is my mistake. My database name is sample Qt only. So this is my database name. But still, is it the best of practice, or still we can able to add any other things?
Project database name dot.
But tell me, project name is mandatory here? It's not mandatory, but as per the best practice, better to give it as a project name dot database name dot table name. That is the way we have to give the information. So I'm giving create table project name dot database name dot table name. Then we are providing our structure of the table. Now see, actually this is the best practice. Better to give it as a project name dot database name dot table name only. But here one more thing we need to understand. In the real time process, what will happen is after the create table, they will add the one more thing, and which is nothing but if table not exist. Sorry, if not exist is my mistake. So simply what we have to do here, we need to give the one more command, one more keyword called as nothing but if not exist. What is the meaning of if not exist? If this table is not available in the database system, then only this table is going to create. Otherwise, what will happen? This query will throw the syntax error. But is it mandatory to give this information if not exist? It's not mandatory only, but as per the best practice, if you are going to work in the real time, all the queries we are going to see in this way: create table if not exist. Then they are going to give it as a project name dot table name dot database name dot table name. After that, we are given the complete table structure. So with this, we can able to create the complete table. So just we need to run this query. Okay, this statement has been created a new table named as a employee. But if you want to see the table again, where we need to go? Simply we need to click on this button again one more time, and Explorer button. Click on this. In the left side panel, you can able to see the database called as nothing but sample Qt database, which we created. In this sample Qt database, now we can able to see the table called as a employee table. So this is the way simply you can able to see whether table has been created or not. And this is the query we can able to use for the purpose of creation of the table. Now, in the same way, after creation of the table, my requirement is I want to insert the data into this table. So what is the query we can able to use to insert the data? Simply we can give it as a insert into table name. I'm giving the table name as sample Qt dot employee. Then values. After the values within the bracket, we need to pass all the values, and I'm giving it as, for example, 1 comma. So we are having total 4 columns in the table. So for that reason, I'm giving all 4 values, and I'm giving, for example, 1 comma Srinu comma 1000 comma 10. Now this is the way how many records we are inserting into this table. You are inserting only 1 record. Tell me in the MySQL side, if you want to insert the 1 more record again, what we have to do? We need to write the same insert command 1 more time. By using that, you can able to insert the 1 more record. But here what we can do is in the BigQuery, instead of giving the 1 more insert command in the same query, just what we can do here is we can able to add a comma. Just observe here. After closing the bracket, give the comma and paste the same values. Just I'm going to modify these values now. I'm giving 2. So indirectly what I'm doing here with the single insert command, I am inserting the multiple values on top of our table. We are given the first record in the bracket, comma, second record in the bracket, comma, like that you can able to pass any number of values in the bracket. And now if I'm going to run this query, how many records will insert into my table, or how many rows will insert into my table? It will insert total 2 records into my table. Just I'm going to click on the run button. The statement has it 2 rows into your employee table. Now you want to see the data in the table. How we can able to see the data? Select start from your table name. I'm giving it as again database name dot table name. Okay, how many records we inserted? We inserted 2 records only. For that reason, you can able to see the both the records on top of your output. Now you tell me, by seeing all these queries, BigQuery is simple or complex? Once you are having good knowledge on the database concepts, and I can able to say you are good 50% of concepts you automatically can able to understand with the help of the BigQuery, because in the BigQuery most of the times we are going to frame the queries only. That's the reason earlier also I told you only. So database concepts are going to play very important role as part of our cloud data engineering. In the database concepts, whatever the queries we are discussing, same queries we are going to use in the BigQuery with some kind of minor changes, and same queries we are going to use in the Spark SQL. Same queries we are going to use in the one more service called as a big table. Multiple times in the multiple services we are going to write the similar kind of SQL queries. For that reason, our database concepts are going to play very important role as part of our entire course. Okay. Now here my requirement is in this employee table I want to add a new column. So how to add the new column on the existing table?
Alter table.
Simply we can give the command called as a alter command. What is the syntax? Try to give the answer. Alter
Table.
You need to give the table name as
table
database
name.
name dot table name.
Add employee.
I am giving add.
Add
For example, I want to add the column as ID1 column, so I am giving it as a ID1. That's it.
Data type.
Compulsory we have to give the data type also, comma. So alter table name. I am giving add column name as I'm giving the new column as the ID1 column. Then I'm giving the integer as a data type. So with this command, what I'm trying to do here on top of this table, I'm trying to add the column. Now see here, before adding the column, I want to see the structure of the table. How I can able to see the structure of the table? If you want to see the structure of the table, just click on this Explorer button. Here what we are having, you can able to see our database name and you can able to see the table name, right? Just click on the table name in the left side window. In the left side window, you can able to see your database name. Below that, you can able to see your table name called as a employee table. If you click on this, it will display all the information of the table. See what it is showing? It is showing the complete schema only. Whatever the structure we given, that entire information we can able to see by click on the table. How many columns we given? We given total 5 columns. It will display all the 5 columns information. At the same time, if you see here, we are having one more option called as a preview. If you click on this, just click on this once. If you click on this, here you can able to see the data also automatically, which is nothing but you are not running the query. Once we click on the preview, automatically what will happen? It will display the available data into your table. So this is the way from the console you can able to check all the information. If you want to see the schema in the left side panel, click on the table. With that, you can able to see the structure of the table. In the schema tab, you can able to see the structure. In the same way, if you want to see the data, click on the preview. In the preview tab, you can able to see the available data in this table only. Now, in the schema, how many columns we are having? We are having only 4 columns. Now, I am going to run the alter command. alter table name. I'm given the column name as a ID1 and I'm given the data type as an integer. Click on run. ID1 is not a supported nested object type, so we'll give some other column and for example, I'm giving XX. Sorry, it's my mistake. What is the syntax? Yeah, we have to give the
Column also
column.
we need to.
Yeah, correct. And it's my mistake actually. So alter table name. Then I'm given the alter column. So as we discussed earlier, I'm given the same ID1 only. Now I will try to run this query. So what happened? We added the one new column called as a ID1 column. Now, if you want to see whether column has been added or not, from the left side panel, again click on this table name. Once you click on the table name, now you can able to see the structure. We need to refresh, I guess. Okay. So once you refresh here, what you can able to see, you can able to see one new column which is added called as a ID1 column only. So this is the way by depending on the requirement by using the alter command, we can able to add the columns on top of your table. Now we added the new column called as a ID1 column, but in this table already we are having the 2 records only. Now for this new column, what is the data it will take? Already we are having 2 records in this table. After adding the 2 records in the table, we added the new column. Now in this column, what is the data we can able to see?
Null.
We can able to see all the values as null values on top of your new column because already we are having the 2 records. After entering the 2 records, we added the new column. For that reason, in this column, we can able to see the values as a null values. Okay. Now, in the same way, my requirement is I want to drop this column from the table. So how to drop the column? Alter table
name,
drop
column
column.
Just give it as a drop column name. So with this command, simply we can able to drop the column from the table. Alter table name, drop column name. Just you need to click on run. Okay, again I'm going to run the same query one more time. Select star from the table. Now how many columns it has to display? It should display only 4 columns because we dropped the column called as ID1 column. That's the reason it is displaying only 4 columns on top of your output. This is the way simply we can able to understand how we can able to alter the table by using our BigQuery. Now in the same way, my last requirement here, I want to drop the table. How to drop the table, Andy? Just we can give it as a drop table name.
Sir, one more thing. Can we update the data type with a null or not null like that? Because previously.
Yeah, we are having the one more command called as a modify constraint only. So by using that, we can able to update the constraints by depending on the requirement.
Modify is not working, sir.
Modify is not working. Yeah, we'll check and let you know, Andy.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Okay.
So if you want to drop the table, simply we can able to give the command called as nothing but drop table name. By using this, we can able to drop the table from your database system. But before dropping the table, just my requirement is in this ename column, I want to change all the values as XX. What we can do? Okay. In the table, in the ename column, I want to change all values as XX. So what we can do indirectly, you want to change the structure or you want to change the data? I want to change the data. So what is the query we have to give? Update table name.
Set.
And I'm giving set ename is equal to XX.
Where
within quotes.
Okay. So just I'm trying to run this query. We'll see what will happen. What is happening? This query is giving the error. What I told you earlier. Whenever you are given the table name, compulsory what we have to pass? We have to pass the database name. Project name is optional, but database name is mandatory. Compulsory we have to give the database name here. I'm giving it as a sample qt.employee. So database name dot table name. Then I'm giving the set ename is equal to XX. Just I'm going to run this query. After this, again I'm going to run the same query again. Select star from the table. Sorry. So I'm given the where condition. So for example, my requirement is I want to update data for only one record. Actually, if you see here in the BigQuery, whenever you want to perform the update operation, compulsory we need to pass the where clause. And what is the reason? Any guesses?
Yeah.
Actually, what we
security.
discussed, whatever the queries we are executing in the BigQuery, all these queries are going to what will happen if I'm going to run the queries, Sandy? Because of the queries, it is going to apply some kind of charges. Now, for example, in this table, I'm having, for example, around 10 lakh records, Sandy. Now, by mistake, I'm giving it as a set name is equal to access. What will happen? It will try to upload all the 10 lakh records, but your requirement is you want to update only 10 records or 15 records. But by mistake, without giving the where clause, I given the query like this. So what is going to happen? It will update all the records in the table. So just to remove such kind of issues, what they did here, they mandated the where clause whenever we are given the update command. But tell me in the MySQL, where clause is mandatory or where clause is optional? Where clause is optional, okay, but comment here compulsory we have to give the where clause. So just for our understanding, I'm given the where clause. I'm given the where employee ID is equal to 1. If I'm going to run this query, now see what will happen. How many records it will update? It will update only one record because we given the condition as a EID is equal to 1. That's the reason only it will update one record in your table. Again, I'm giving the select star from the table here. Only one record is update. Okay, this is the way you can understand how to perform the insert operation, how to perform the update operation. In the same way, if you want to delete the data from the table, what we can do? Give it as delete from sample QB. Yeah, please. Any question?
Sir, if you want to change the structure of the table, suppose if you want to insert any condition, how to apply, sir?
If you want to add
on the top of the column, structure. In structure, is suppose if salary is there,
okay,
we want it should be less than 1,000 or like that. How to give the query, sir?
We need to use the modify constraint, but someone is saying that modify is not working. And I will check and let you know about that. Is it okay?
Rename is working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Column name.
The rename also will not work in BigQuery.
Yeah, I will check and get back on that also. Is it fine?
Change is working instead of modify.
Okay. Now see here, if you want to remove the data from this table, what we can do here, simply we can able to give the query called as a delete command. By using the delete command, you can able to remove the data from the table. So this is the way simply you can able to understand how we can able to use the DDL commands and how we can able to use the DML commands. Andy. So actually online people are asking some question, how I can able to modify the constraints in the table. Actually in the MySQL, what we can do here, simply we can able to give the command called as a alter table name, then we have to give it as a modify and we can able to add the constraints by depending on our requirement. But coming to here, someone is saying that this modify keyword is not working properly in the BigQuery. I will check and get back to you how we can able to do this operation. For now, you can keep this topic on hold only. Okay, so focus on how we can able to perform all these DDL operations by using the create, alter and drop, and how we can able to perform the DML operations. What is meant by DML operations? Insert, update and delete. Okay, now tell me how we are doing all these operations here by using the console only. But within the console, what we are doing here, we are using all the SQL queries or we are using all the commands, and with the help of the commands we are creating the table or altering the table or dropping the table, or by using the same commands we are performing the insert operation or we are performing the update operation or we are performing the delete operation. Indirectly all these operations we are performing from the console only, but from the console how we are doing all these operations? With the help of the commands we are performing all these operations. Okay, now my requirement is I want to perform the same operations directly from the console. I don't want to use any SQL queries. I want to perform the same operations from the console. That also we can able to do here. See, click on this arrow. Now in the left side, you can able to see your project name. Under the project, you can able to see your database name. Under the database, you can able to see your table. This is the way you can able to see the structure in your left side panel. Now, what is my requirement is I want to create the database directly from the console and without using the command. Directly from the console, I want to create the database. Now tell me, you are going to create the database within the database or within the project?
In the project.
In the project, we need to create the database where we are having the project name. Here you can able to see the project name as a Qt sample. Beside that, you can able to see the 3 dots and just click on that. If you click on the 3 dots, here we can able to see the option called as a create data set and refresh contents and just click on the create data set. Click on create data set. Once you click on the create data set, it is asking the data set ID. What is the meaning of data set here? It's nothing but your database only. So here I've given the database name as sample Qt console. Just for my understanding, I am creating this database from the console directly. Just for my understanding, I'm giving it as a sample Qt console, which is nothing but this database I created directly from the console. And after that, if you see here we are having the two options. Whenever we are going to give the database or whenever you are creating the database, we have to give the location. Here we are having the region and multi-region. What is the meaning of region and multi-region? Where we see the similar kind of option, if you remember.
Cloud storage,
bucket
GCS.
In the
creating.
GCS, while creation of the bucket, how many options there we saw?
3.
We saw the
Three.
three options, and
Three
one is the
options.
region, multi-region, and
Dual.
dual. That is the one more option we saw
Dual.
in the while creation of the bucket. In the same way, here also, if you are going to create the database, it is asking the question in which location you want to create the database, whether you want to create it in the single region or you want to create it in the multi-region. Try to give the answer. What is the advantage of multi-region? What is the advantage we are going to get if you are going to give it as a multi-region?
High availability.
High
High
availability or
availability.
highest availability?
Highest available.
Highest
You're going to
availability.
get the
availability.
highest availability. With the region,
Lowest
you will get the
availability.
high availability.
High availability.
Compared to region and multi-region, where we are going to get the more availability, Andy. If you are
Single
going to get the
region.
multi-region, if you are going to give the multi-region, there we are going to get the highest availability. If I am going to give the single region, there you will get the availability, but we are calling it as just a high availability. It's not a highest availability, Andy. Now here, as part of our example, simply I'm giving it as a multi-region. Okay, and after that, here you can able to see one more option called as a default table expression. What it means? For example, in the database, I am creating the table. After 2 days, you don't want to maintain the table. You want to remove the table automatically. That is nothing but table expiration. And when you want to expire the table within 2 days or within 7 days or within 10 days, by depending on your requirement, just we have to enable this option. And here you have to specify the age. For example, here I'm giving it as a 2 days. But tell me, when we are giving the commands in the previous step, are we giving all these options? No. If you are not giving any options, what will happen? I am given the simple query, create schema database name. If I am giving that query directly, what will happen by default? It will take all the default values. And for example, if I'm not giving any location type, by default, what will happen? It will take it as a multi-region. If I'm not giving the default table expression, what will happen? It will take it as a 0, which is nothing but your table is not going to expire from your table. Like that, if you are not giving any option, it won't able to take all the values. It will take the default values only. But if you want to change the values, what we can do here? We can able to change the values from the commands, or we can able to change the values from the console also. If you want to give it as a multi-region, select the multi-region. If you want to give the expression on top of your table, give it as a how many number of days, after how many number of days you want to expire. All these values we can able to specify here. So for now, I'm not giving this option also, Randy. So just I'm explaining what are the options we can able to pass. After giving this information, just click on create dataset. Now see what is happening. Earlier we are having the sample Qt database. Now you can able to see one more database called as nothing but sample Qt console, which is nothing but this is the database I created from the console. Okay. Now my next requirement is I want to create the table. Now you tell me, in the project we need to create the table, or in the database we need to create the table? In the database we need to create the table. Yeah, in the data set or in the database we need to create the table. So now come to the database. Beside that you can able to see the 3 buttons. Please click on that. Beside the data set name, click on 3 buttons. Now here you can able to see the option called as a create table. Now you only try to give the answer. Are we doing any new activities compared to the previous steps, Sandy? We are not doing any new activity. We are creating the same kind of database. We are creating the same kind of table. Only thing is nothing but instead of using the commands, what I'm doing here, I am using the console options. By using the console options, we are performing all these operations. If you want to create the table beside the data set, click on these 3 dots. With that, you can able to create the table. Just click on the create table. Okay, so once you click on the create table, here you can able to see the multiple options again. And what is the first option we are having? First option is create table from. And if you click on this drop down here, how many options we are having? If you see, first one, you can create the empty table. Second one, you can create the table from the Google Cloud Storage. And what it means indirectly? In the bucket, you are going to place a file. From that file also, you can able to create the table. Earlier, what we did during the commands? First, you created the empty table. After creation of the empty table, by using the insert commands, we inserted the data manually. If you want to insert the 10 records, we need to pass all those values manually. With that, you can able to insert the data. Now, for example, I don't want to insert the data manually. In the S3 bucket, I'm having, sorry, in the GCS bucket, I'm having the file. From that file, I want to load the data into my table automatically. Whenever we are having that kind of requirement, what we can do here, we need to select the option called as a Google Cloud Storage. So what will happen here? It will take the data from the GCS bucket. By using that bucket, it will create the table automatically. At the same time, it will load the data also automatically by depending on our requirement. Okay. First one, it will create the empty table. Second one, if you want to create the table from the GCS storage, then we need to select the option called as a Google Cloud Storage. Now, what is the third one? Upload. What is the meaning of upload? For example, your file, instead of having this file in the Google Cloud Storage, I am having this file in my local system. And in my local system, I am having a file. By using that file, I want to create the table. I want to load the data. In that situation, what we can do here, you can able to select the option called as a upload. We'll discuss all these things. And first, to try to understand how many ways we can able to create the table from the console. First option, by using empty table. Second option, by using Google Cloud Storage. Third option, upload. Upload is nothing but from the local system. You are having a file. In that file, you are having the data. You want to upload the data as part of creation of the table. Whenever you are having that kind of requirement, then we need to select the option called as a upload. Next one, drive. What is the meaning of drive? Our Google Drive, Sandy. So in the Google Drive, we are having the file. From that file, again, you want to create the table by uploading the data. Whenever we are having such kind of requirement, then we can able to use the option called as a drive. In the same way, we are having the one more option called as a Google Big Table. Google Big Table is one more GCP service we are having. But so far we have discussed about the big table. Once we discuss about the big table, then we can understand how we can able to upload the data from the big table to our BigQuery. But for now, you can able to ignore this topic. But after completion of this topic, then we'll discuss about how we can able to upload the data from the big table service to our BigQuery service. Okay. In the same way, what is this? Amazon S3. Yesterday we discussed about one statement. BigQuery is having one feature called as a multi-cloud. What is the meaning of multi-cloud feature? We can able to create the table from the S3 bucket, or we can able to create the table from the Azure Blob Storage, and which is nothing but S3 bucket is present in which cloud platform? AWS, Amazon. And Blob Storage is present in Azure, which is nothing but our BigQuery is present where? GCP. Indirectly, what we are doing here, by using the GCP service, you can connect to the Amazon service. By using the GCP service, you can able to connect to the Azure service. That's the reason what we are calling BigQuery is a multi-cloud option we are having, and by depending on your requirement, from the S3 bucket, you can able to read the data and you can able to create the table in the BigQuery, or you can able to read the data from the Azure Blob Storage and you can able to create the table in the BigQuery. That's the reason only we are calling it as a BigQuery is providing the multi-cloud feature. Okay. Now overall, how many ways we can able to create the table? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. By using 6 different ways, we can able to 7 only. So by using 7 different ways, we can able to create the tables on top of our BigQuery service. Okay. Now you tell me, by using all these ways, can we able to create the tables by using our commands? By using the commands also, we can able to perform all these operations, Andy. But if you want to use the commands, what we have to do? In the commands, we need to specify the options. Okay. By using the options keyword, you have to specify whether you want to create the empty table, or you want to create the Google Cloud Storage table, or you want to upload the data from the local system. All these kind of things also we can able to perform from the commands. But in the commands, what we have to do, we need to provide the options keyword. In the options keyword, we need to pass the inputs, and with that, from the commands also, you can able to create different types of the tables. But tell me, by default, what value we are having here? We are having the empty table option. That's the reason, as part of using the commands, have we given any options? No. That's the reason what happened. It created the default empty table, and if you are not giving any options in the commands in the SQL query as part of creation of the table, by default, what is happening? It is creating the table called as a empty table. Okay. Now here, first we'll see how to create the empty table. Then we'll discuss about all the remaining options one by one. Okay. So if you want to create the empty table, just give it as a empty table. After that, what it is asking? Your project name. What is the project name? Qt sample. If you want to switch the project name, just click on the browse button. With that, you can able to switch your project name, and next one, what we have to give? we have to give the data set name. Already it is taken the default database name, data set name. After that, we need to provide the table name. Here, for example, I'm giving the table name as employee console. Now tell me, in this data set, can we give the same database table name one more time?
No.
Already we given the employee table. Now in this database, I want to create the one more same table name one more time only. Now if I'm going to give this, it will take or it won't take?
It will
It will not take, it will throw
take.
error. Right?
No, it will take. Someone is saying it won't take only, but I'm telling it will take. What's the reason? Now you are working in the previous database or you are working in the new database? This is the new database which we created, right?
Okay.
Earlier where we created the table only. We created the table in the sample Qt database, but now which database we are using?
Console.
We are using the sample Qt console, which is nothing but this is the separate database which we created. In this database, we are given the table name called as a employee table. This table will create without giving any kind of errors only. But just to avoid the confusion here, what I'm doing is I'm giving the name as a console. To understand this table we are creating from the console, I given the table name as a employee console and this is the way simply we can able to provide the table name. After that, here we can able to see one more option called as a table type. Here if you see, how many options we are having? Only one option is calling it as a native table, but actually in the BigQuery we are having the two types of tables and in BigQuery we are having two types of the tables. So first type of table we can call it as a native table, or we can call it as a internal table, or we can able to call it as a manager table. So first type of table we can call it as a native table. Actually, if you see here, whatever the option it is showing, this is nothing but native table only. But same native table we can call it as a internal table, or we can able to call it as a manager table. And coming to second type of table, we can able to call it as a external table. So we are having the two types of the table, which is nothing but first one is the native table, second one is the external table. After a few minutes, we are going to discuss about what is the meaning of the native table, what is the meaning of the external table. For now, just to try to remember, in the BigQuery, how many types of tables we are going to deal? Two types only. One is the native table, and second one we are calling it as a external table. Now, some people will get the question, sir, if we are having the two types of the tables, here why it is displaying the only one type of the table? There is a reason for that. That also will cover in few minutes only. Whenever we are going to create the empty table, by using the empty table option, what type of table we can able to create? You can able to create only native table. We cannot able to create the external table. Just I will add the statement here. If you are going to create empty table, we can create only native tables. Immediately some people will ask the question, what is the reason for this? To understand the reason for this, first you need to understand what is the internal table and what is the external table. And after some time we are going to discuss about this topic. Once we discuss about this topic, then you yourself can give the answer why this is happening like this. What I'm telling here, whenever you are going to create the empty table, then what will happen? You can able to create the only native tables. For example, instead of selecting the empty table, for example, here I'm going to select the type of the table as GCS table. Now see, once I'm going to select the GCS table or Google Cloud Storage table, and now what options we are having? You can able to see the native table and external table, which is nothing but by depending on the type of the table we are selecting, automatically it will change the what type of table we can able to create. If you are given the empty table, you can able to create the only native table. We cannot able to create the external table. But if you are going to select the Google Cloud Storage, then what we can do here, either you can able to create the native table or we can able to create the external table by depending on our requirement. So for now, what I'm doing here is I'm giving it as a empty table. Okay, after giving the table type, here I'm giving it's taking it as a native table only. After that, what we can do here, if you want, you can define the schema. Whenever you want to create the table, compulsory what we have to do, we need to define the schema of the table. Whenever you want to define the schema of the table, and in the schema, here you are having the two options. First option, if we enable this option, here we can able to type all the schema manually. Otherwise, what we can do here is, I'm disabling this, click on this plus button. What is the meaning of this plus button? We are adding the field. What is the meaning of field? It's nothing but we are adding the columns, and if you click on this, it is asking the field name. For example, I'm giving the field name as a EAD, and coming to second one, it is asking the data type. If you see here, By using this, you can able to see what all are the available data types we are having in the BigQuery. Now, for now, what I'm doing here, I'm taking it as a string. If you observe, do we have any varchar data type in the BigQuery? We have only string. We don't have any varchar. Now, for the EAD column, I'm giving it as, for example, integer. And after that, it is asking that mode and the mode of the column. If you see first option, we are having it as a nullable. Any guesses what is the meaning of nullable? It will allow the null values only. Whenever we are giving it as a nullable, if you are given the not null, it won't allow the null values. But if you are given the option called as a nullable, what will happen? This employee ID column will allow the null values. For example, my requirement is I don't want to allow the null values. Then what we can do here? If you see, we are having the option called as a required. If you click on this, what is the meaning of required? Compulsory. In this column, we have to pass the data. This column will not allow any kind of null values, and indirectly required is equivalent to not null in our MySQL database. If you want to allow the null values, we have to give it as a nullable. If you don't want to allow the null values, then we have to give it as a required. In the same way, here you can able to see the one more option called as a repeated. Any guesses what it means?
Duplicates will be allowed.
Duplicates value can be.
So duplicate values are in the BigQuery table. If you want, we can able to pass the arrow type of, we can able to pass the array type of values only. Whenever you want to insert the array type of the values, then we can able to go for the repeated. But do you know what is the meaning of array? No, right? That's the reason. Just we'll keep hold on this topic also and repeated. Once we understand what is meant by array, then we can understand how we can able to use this repeated option. By using that, we can able to create the table. For now, we'll create the table by using either nullable or required. If you want to understand the repeated, first we need to understand what is the meaning of the array in the BigQuery. With that, you can able to understand how to use the repeated. 1 second. I will keep this also hold. Repeated. This is the one more topic we need to discuss, Andy. We need to discuss about internal table. We need to discuss about the external table, and we need to discuss about the one more topic called as a repeated. But for now, here what I'm doing is I'm taking the option called as a nullable. What is the meaning of description? Here you can provide the description of your column only. What is the purpose of this column? Or in this column, what kind of data we are storing? So this is a kind of a optional value. If you want, we can give some data. Otherwise, we can able to ignore it. Okay. Now my requirement is I want to create the one more column. So what we can do? Click on the plus button one more time. Just here I'm giving ename, and I'm giving the data type as a string. I'm giving the mode as nullable. And if you observe here, whenever we are given the varchar, what we can do, we can give it as a varchar of 10 or varchar of 100. Indirectly, we are given the length as part of the varchar data type only. In the same way, if you are given the string, here also what we can do, we can see, we are having the option called as a max length. So in this max length, if you want, for example, I am giving it as 100. So what it means indirectly, in the employee name column, we are going to allow the only 100 letters only. By depending on our requirement, you can able to pass the max length. So this is the way simply we can able to add the columns from the console. From the commands, we are using the create command, create table, table name, EID, integer, ename, string. Like that, you can able to give the commands. If you don't want to use the commands, what we can do from the console also, we can able to create the table. From the console, if you are going to create the table, what we have to specify? We need to specify what type of table you want to create, what is the project name, what is the dataset name, what is the table name, and what type of table you want to create, and how many number of columns you want to maintain. All this information we need to specify. Other than this, we need to pass some advanced values also, like partitioning and clustering. And this is the advanced topic. This we are going to cover in the coming classes. For now, we have to pass all these values. After passing these values, what we can do, just click on the create table. See, once we click on the create table, what is happening? It is creating the table called as a employee console table. And now I want to see the structure of the employee console table. What we can do?
Click on that.
In the left side panel, under the database, just click on the table name. Once you click on the table name, what will happen? Automatically, you can able to see the structure. How many columns we are having in this table? Only 2 columns, EAD column and ename column. If you want to see the data, you can click on preview. Once you click on the preview, what will happen? You can able to see the data. But tell me, we created the empty table, or in this table we are having the data? We created the empty table. That's the reason it's given the message called as a there is no data to display. And now my requirement is in this table I want to insert the data. How we need to insert the data? This is the empty table. Now in this table I want to insert the data. So what we can do? Now we can able to use our SQL queries, and by using the queries we can able to insert the data. Just will insert one record for understanding purpose. Insert into sample qt console. This is the database name, and table name is employee console. values. I'm giving 1 comma, for example, X. See, don't think that why we are discussing employee table, why we are giving the very basic values, and here try to understand the concept. And once you understand the concept, then we can able to take the some different types of the tables. Here my intention is I want to explain all the different concepts whatever we are having in the BigQuery. As part of discussing about the concepts, try to understand all the concepts by using the basic table. Once you understand the concept, then what we can do here, then we can able to take the some different new tables. With that you can able to see some kind of real-time scenarios. Okay, as part of understanding, here I'm using the employee table, and here we are given the insert command. Now if you want to insert the data, just run this command. Insert into table name, values, and give 1 comma X. You see, we inserted 1 record, and again, if you want to see the data from this table, just we can give it as a select start from table name. We inserted only 1 record, so you can able to see the only 1 record here, Andy. So this is the way simply we can able to insert the data on top of your empty table. But tell me, in this overall process, what we have done? We created the database from where? From the console, and we created the table from where? From the console. But from the console, what type of table we created? We created the empty table. That's the reason in that table, if you want to insert the data, what we are doing here, we are giving the command called as a insert command. With the help of the insert command, simply we are inserting the data on top of your empty table. Okay, this is the one type of the table which we can create from the console. Now in the same way, we'll try to understand one more type of the table. And now see, if I want to create the one more table, so from where we need to create the table? From the console. Again, what we can do? Again, we need to go to our database name. In the database name, beside that, we can able to see the 3 dots and click on this. Once you click on this, here we can able to see the option called as a create table. Click on the create table. Now here again, you can able to see all the options. Now my requirement is I don't want to create the empty table. I want to upload the table data from this option. What is the option selecting here? I am selecting the option called as a upload. What is the meaning of upload? We discussed a few minutes back. In the local system, I'm having the file. From the local system file, I want to create the table. At the same time, I want to upload the data also into my table, and which is nothing but if you want to create the upload table, first what we have to maintain? In our local system, we need to maintain one file. By using that file, what we can do here, you can able to upload the data, or you can able to create the table from the console. Now in my system, yeah, for example, I'm having the employee file, and just we'll see the data in this one first. So what are the columns we are having in this employee.csv? This is the emp.csv file. In this file, I'm having the EAD column, ename column, sal column, and department ID column. And also what we are having? We are having the data also, which is nothing but in this file, what I am maintaining? I am maintaining the column names. At the same time, I am maintaining the data also in this table. Now, by using this file, I want to create the table. At the same time, I want to upload the data also into my table. And so for that reason, in the console, which option we are selecting? We are selecting the option called as a upload. Whenever we are selecting the option as a upload, what it means indirectly, from your local system, you want to upload the file. By using that file, you want to create the table, and also you want to load the data also into the table. That's the reason here we are using the option called as a upload. And after that, if you see what it is asking, select the file. So if you want to select the file, just click on the browse button. Click on browse. Now in my laptop, in the D drive, I am having the file called as a EMP file. In whatever the path you are having the file, and go to that path and take the file name. So here I'm taking the file name as a EMP table. Click on open. So what we are doing indirectly, we are given the type of the, we are given the path of the file whenever we are selecting the upload option. And after that, what it is asking? It is asking the file format. What all are the different types of the files we are having? CSV, JSON, Avro, Parquet, and ORC. I know most of the folks don't know about what is the Avro, what is the Parquet, what is the ORC, and that we are going to cover in the coming classes. But for now, what type of file we are dealing here in this example? We are dealing the CSV file. So here we need to give the file format as a CSV. And after that, what we have to give? You need to provide the destination, in which project, Qt sample, in which data set, sample Qt console. Here we have to give the table name and just for understanding purpose, I'm giving the table name as a employee upload. Why I'm giving the table name like this? For my understanding, I'm saying that employee upload, which is nothing but this table we are creating by using the option called as a upload option. You can give any name and you can give the X or Y or Z also, but just for my understanding, I'm giving it as a employee upload. Okay. Now after that, here, if you see in the table type, now we can able to see the we can able to see the one type of table called as a native table. So because earlier we discussed, we are having the two types of the table. One is the native table and other one is the external table. Now, if you are going to select the upload option also, how many types of tables we are seeing? We are seeing the only one type. If you are given the empty table also, how many options we are seeing? Only one option. But if you are going to select the GCS or Google Cloud Storage, then how many types of tables we are seeing here? We are seeing the two tables and two types of the table. But coming to here, if you are given the option as a upload, here we can able to see only one type of table called as a native table. After that, what it is asking? It is asking the schema. Here, which option we are having? Auto detect. What is meant by auto detect? While
By
creation
default,
of the
it will
table,
choose the data
while
type.
creation of the table, whatever the file we given, by using that file, it need to understand the structure of the table automatically. If you are having such kind of requirement, then what we can do here, we can give the option called as a auto detect. And now see, for example, by seeing this data, you try to give the answer. For EID column, what is the data type we need to pass by seeing the data? EID, integer. E-name, string. Salary, integer. EID, integer. Similar way, your BigQuery also can able to understand by seeing the data automatically. By seeing all the data in the file, it can able to understand. For EID column, I need to give the integer. E-name column, I need to give the string. Salary column, I need to give the integer. DID column also, I need to give the integer. Your BigQuery is having that kind of capability, and without giving the structure from our side, what BigQuery can do here, it can able to read the data from the file. By reading the data from the file, it can able to understand for which column, what data type we need to provide. That kind of feature only we can able to call it as a auto detect. Now, for example, if I am going to enable the auto detect, do we need to give the column names again manually? No. Do we need to give the data types manually? No. Okay. Now, for example, as per your requirement, you want to give the column names, you want to give the data types only, then what we have to do? We need to disable this. We need to click on the add button. By click on the add button, you can able to define the structure your own. If you don't want to follow this approach, what we can do here? Simply we can able to select the option called as a auto detect. Is it clear? Some people will get the question. Sir, in the file we are having the column names. For that reason, it will take, for example, this first row is the column names. For example, in the file I don't have any column names. Then what will happen? By default, it will take the names as a C1, C2, C3, C4 and D. But I don't want to maintain the C1, C2, C3, C4. Then what I have to do? Then what we can do is simply, instead of selecting the auto detect, now you need to add the column names manually and D. But in our example, what I'm telling here, in my file, I'm having the column names also. That's the reason, just for understanding purpose, I want to see this example also. Here, what I'm doing, I'm selecting the option called as a auto detect. Okay. Now, next one, again, these two are the advanced topics only. Now we'll come to the advanced options here. It won't take the constant by default for all the columns. It will take it as a nullable only. Constant value, it won't take it, and it will take the only column names and data types only. It cannot able to take the constant values. By default for all the columns, what is the constant it will take? It will take it as a nullable constant. Is it clear? Okay. Now so see here.
Constants concept is not there in BigQuery, right?
Yeah, constant concept is not there, but here we are having the two options, and one is nothing but null and not null. Those two indirectly we can consider it as a constants. Directly we are not having the constant concept, but they are having the two options. One is I want to allow the null values, other one is I don't want to allow the null values. Indirectly we can think that those two are comes under the constants, but exactly we are not having the constant concept on top of our BigQuery. Okay.
So while we are retrieving the data or inserting the data, we should face a lot of problems.
Why?
Means if you check somewhere or
no, as part of retrieving you want to check, or as part of loading you want to check?
Loading.
Yeah, as part of loading, you want to check. But here, what will happen is in the BigQuery, before loading the data, we are going to perform some kind of cleansing operations. And the cleansing operations are nothing but by depending on the requirement, we are going to clean the data. Cleaning is nothing but we are removing the unwanted data or we are removing the unwanted records. After performing the cleansing operation only, finally, we are loading the data into our BigQuery tables. In that situation, you won't face any such kind of issues. But what is the meaning of cleansing? And before loading the data, how we need to perform the cleansing? Again, that's a separate topic that we'll cover in the coming classes. But for your question, just I'm giving the answer. You are saying that without having the constraints, as part of loading, we are going to face the so many issues. You are giving the statement. But what I'm telling here, before loading the data, we are going to perform the one more operation called as a cleansing operation. With the help of the cleansing operation, you are going to remove all the unwanted data. After that only, we are going to perform the loading operations on top of your BigQuery. For that reason, you won't face any kind of issues without having the constraints also. But what is the cleansing and how we are going to perform the cleansing operation? That's a separate topic that we'll cover in the coming classes. Is it clear? Okay. Now see, in the advanced options, what we are having, if you observe, right preference and right preference is nothing but if you click on this drop down, how many options we are having? 3 options. One is append to table, write if empty, and third one is the override table. You yourself try to give the answer. What is the meaning of write if empty?
If there is an empty table, it will load the data.
You are having the table. That table is empty table. Then only I want to load the data. Whenever you are having such kind of requirement, then we can give the option called as a write if empty. Now, what is the second one? Append to table. What is the meaning of append to table? Already you are having the table. In that table, already you are having the data. In that table, you want to append the records. For example, I am having the 10 records in the table. Now I want to add the 5 more records into the table. Then which option we have to select? We need to select the option called as a append to table. Now, what is the meaning of override table? Override means already table is there. In that table, I'm having the 10 records. Now, if I am going to perform the upload operation, I want to remove all the old records. I want to load the only new records, which is nothing but indirectly truncate and load. What is the meaning of truncate? Delete the data and load the data. Whenever you are having such kind of requirement, then we need to select the option called as a override table. By depending on our requirement, either you can able to select the option as a append table, or we can select as a write if empty, or we can select the option called as a override table. Now in our example, just I'm selecting it as a write if empty. Now next one, here it is saying that how many number of errors you allowed and what is the meaning of error? For example, you are creating a table. In that table, we are having the string column. In the string column, you are trying to pass the integer value. Okay, sorry. You are having the integer column. In the integer column, you want to pass the string values. And now you tell me, in the integer column, can we be able to pass the string values? No. For example, in this file, in the EID column, I am having the value as a X. Okay. Now, while creation of the table, you given EID as a integer, but as part of loading, what is the value we are loading? I am loading the value called as a string value. Actually, what will happen? It will throw the error saying that you are passing the string value into the integer column. But my requirement is, I am giving, for example, number of errors are 2. What it means? Try to give the answer.
So even
which
though,
is nothing but out of 1000 records, for example, you are trying to load the 1000 records and out of 1000 records, only 2 records are having the issue. Even though what I want to do here, I don't want to get any kind of error. I want to load the data into my table without having any kind of errors. Okay. Now, for example, after giving the 2 in my table as part of loading, I am seeing 4 records are having the issue. Then what will happen? Then as part of creation of the table or as part of uploading the data, it will fail. For example, here we are given the number of errors is equal to 2, but my file is having only 1 record is having the error. Now you tell me your table will create and data will upload or it will throw any kind of error. We given that 2, but how many errors we are having? Only 1. Okay, for that reason, your table will create and data also will upload. And whenever you want to control the number of errors, then what we can do here? Here we can able to specify how many number of errors you want to allow as per your requirement. That value we can able to pass. For now, I'm not giving anything. Now tell me, if you're not giving anything by default, what will happen? It will take it as a 0. Okay. Now in the same way, here it is asking the field delimiter, and the field delimiter, what we can able to pass? Generally, in the CSV file, what type of delimiter we are going to maintain? Generally, comma.
pipe symbol.
Sometimes what will happen is in the CSV file, we are going to have the pipe symbol, or we are going to have the tab symbol, or we are going to have the @ also. But tell me, do we have any @ in this drop down? No. Then how to give the @? We need to click on the custom. By click on the custom, you can able to pass any kind of delimiter by depending on your requirement. And now, for example, in this file, instead of having the commas, I am having the data like this. I am calling it as a CSV file, but what is the delimiter we are having in this file? At the rate. If you want to handle this, what we can do here, just we need to click on the field delimiter. Here we need to select the option called as a custom. In the custom, you can able to pass the value manually by depending on our requirement. And but for now, I'm not giving the at the rate. I'm giving the comma only for our easy understanding. Here I'm giving it as a comma. Okay. Now in the same way, come into quote character. So for example, in our data, we are having the double quotes only. Within the value, we are having the double quotes. If you want to handle the double quotes, we can give this option. In the same way, you try to give the answer for this one. Header rows to skip. What it means? Any guesses?
Yes,
Header
it will
rows
skip the
skip.
row.
Now you
It
tell
will
me,
skip the column names.
in this file, do we need to skip any rows?
No.
We have to skip the first row.
First column names.
What is the reason? In this file, you tell me which row is representing the structure, which rows are representing the data.
First row is the structure.
First
the
row
row
is
in the
representing the
structure.
structure. All the remaining rows are representing the data. Now you tell me, after creation of the table, I want to load the data. As part of loading the data, you want to load all the 6 records or you want to load the only 5 records?
5.
I want to load
Records.
only 5 records. First row, I want to consider it as a column names. All the remaining rows only, I want to consider it as a data only. But how your BigQuery can able to understand, you want to skip the first row. It cannot able to understand automatically. That's the reason here they given the option called as a head rows to skip. And so here what we can do, I can give you the value as a 1. For example, by depending on your requirement, you want to skip the first 2 values. Then what we can do? From the file, you want to skip the 2 rows. Then what we can do here? You have to select the 2, or you want to skip the 3 rows. What we can do, we can select the option called as a 3, but in our requirement, I want to give the only 1 only, so I'm giving it as a 1. So these are the some kind of advanced options we are having. Here we are giving, if table is empty, then only I want to load the data, and in the table, in the file, I want to maintain the comma as a delimiter, and I want to skip the first row only. And after giving all these options, just click on the create table. Yeah, we'll discuss about this. So still we are having some other options, and if I'm going to cover all the options now only, you will get the confusion. We'll discuss all the remaining options when we are discussing other example. Okay. Now see here what happened. Your table has been created after click on the create button, employee upload table. How many columns we are having? EID column, ename column, sal column, and department ID column. Now you try to give the answer. As part of creation of the table, did we mention any column name? Have you given the EID integer not null? No, right? So what happening here? From the file, it is taking all the column names automatically. Have you given any data types as part of creation? No, we given the auto detect. What is the meaning of auto detect? Your BigQuery will read the data. By reading the data, it can able to understand what is the data type we need to pass on. So it is taking the all values as a integer, string, integer, integer. At the same time, coming to mode by default, what's happening? For all the columns, it is taking it as a nullable as a mode. So like this, whenever we are given the upload option, by default, it will take the structure of the table. At the same time, have we inserted any data by using the command? No. But if you see the preview, what happened? In the file, whatever the data we are having, same data is uploaded automatically on top of your table. And here, just we are given the options in the console. You are given the upload, you are given the path of the file, you are given the other values. You are going to click on the create button. With that, automatically what's happening here? It is creating the structure of the table. At the same time, it is loading the data also into the table. So this is the way you can able to understand how we can able to create the second type of the table from the console. What is the first type of the table? What is the first type of the table? It's an empty table. What is the second type of the table? It's an upload table. What is the meaning of upload?
Loading from
You are uploading the
existing
structure. You are uploading the data from the local system file. And this is the way simply we can able to understand how we can able to create the table by using the upload option. Okay. Now in the same way, we'll try to create the third type of the table. Or now you try to give the answer. I want to create the Google Cloud Storage table. Can you please go on? Some people are fighting in the meeting only. Okay. Now my requirement
sir,
is I want to create the third type of the table, which is nothing but I want to create the GCS table. Now you try to give the answer. What are the steps we need to follow from the console if you want to create the one more table? First step.
Sample QT console.
Already we are having the database. No need to create the database. Now I want to create the table from the console. So what is the database here we are using for all the console operations? This is the database. Now in this database, where we need to go if you want to create the table? Just click on the three dots. After that, click on create table. After that, it is giving all these options. Here what we have to select? We need to select the GCS option, Google Cloud Storage. Now you try to give the answer. If you want to use this option, what is the prerequisite? You need to have the bucket, and in the bucket you need to have the file. Then only what we can do here, we can able to use the Google Cloud Storage option for the purpose of creation of the table. Now you tell me how to create the bucket. In the bucket, how to upload the file. Try to recap all the previous topics. Or tell me at least what are the steps we need to follow here. First step.
First we need to select the project.
We need to create the bucket by selecting the project. Otherwise, just to avoid the confusion. First step, select the project. After that, we need to create the bucket. After that,
upload the object, the file.
We need to upload the file, or we need to upload the object. Creation of folder is mandatory.
No.
So someone is saying we need to create the folder in the bucket, but creation of the folder is mandatory, or within the bucket only directly we can able to upload the file. In the bucket only we can upload the file, or if you want, what we can do in the bucket, you can create a folder. In the folder also, again, you can able to keep the file. That file also we can able to use it only. Now I want to perform all these operations from the Cloud SDK. If you want to do these operations from the Cloud SDK, if you want to create the bucket, what is the command we have to use? GS
util
MB.
Okay. I have to give the bucket name. So I've given the some bucket name as a sample QT. So just I'm giving the name as a sample QT. So by using this command, what we can do here, you can able to create the bucket. Now, after creation of the bucket, in that bucket, I want to upload the file. How to upload the file? By using the Cloud SDK. GS util, what next? Upload. Do we have any command called as upload? No only. So what's command we have to use?
CP.
We need to give the CP command, copy command. After that, we need to give the source path, and we need to give the target path. Okay. So just to try to recap our previous concepts only. So like this here, whatever the topics we completed, so same topics are again going to repeat in the every service only. So if you want to create the bucket, we have to give the GS util MB sample QT, and if you want to upload the file, we have to give it as a GS util copy. We need to give the source path, and we need to give the target path. And when you need to perform all these operations, if you want to perform these operations from the Cloud SDK, but if I want to perform the same operations from the console, in the console, what we can do? It's very simple, right? First one, create the bucket, and after that, within the bucket, we can see option called as a upload file. By click on the upload file, we can able to upload the file only. Just for the purpose of saving the time, I will do all these operations from the console. So just I'm going to the buckets. So yeah, here I'm already having the bucket. For example, if you want to create the new bucket, what we can do? Click on create, and you can create the bucket. But here I am already having the bucket. Click on this bucket. Just I will remove this file. Okay. Now, if you want to upload the file, what we can do, Andy? Simply we need to select the option called as a upload files. After that, you need to go to your local path. In the local path, I'm having the file called as a EMP file. Select the file, click on open. See, your file has been uploaded, which is nothing but in your bucket, you are having the file. Okay. Now, our prerequisites are ready for the purpose of creation of the table by using the GCS and now just I'm going back to the BigQuery console. Now here we are selecting Google Cloud Storage. Now what is the next option? Here we need to select file from the GCS bucket. And so what we can do here, just click on the browse option. After that, here you can able to see all the list of the buckets, whatever you are having in the project. Click on this bucket. And within the bucket, I'm having the file called as a emp.csv file. Select the file and click on select. So this is the way simply you can able to select the file from the bucket by using the browse option. And now, for example, I don't want to use the browse directly. I want to give the path of the file. Now you try to give the answer. What is the path of the file we need to give here?
We can go the properties, the bucket.
Just
File.
give it as gs:// What is the gs? What is the gs?
The Google storage.
Google storage.
Storage.
Earlier we discussed whenever you want to give the
Bucket.
path of the GCS file, or whenever you want to give the path of the bucket, compulsory we have to give the prefix called as a gs://
Colon //
My bucket name is, for
Bucket
example,
name,
sample
bucket
qt
name.
cde, and my file name is, for example, emp.csv. This is the way also you can able to provide the complete path if you want. And if you want to give the complete path directly, we can give the path. Otherwise, what we can do here, by using the browse option, you can able to select a particular file. Okay. Now, for example, in this path, I am having 10 files. For example, emp1.csv, emp2.csv, and I'm having emp3.csv. Just assume that in this path, I'm having total 3 different files, or total 10 different files. And now I want to create the table by uploading data for all these 10 files into my table. Then what we can do? I'm having the 3 files in the bucket, for example, 3 files or 30 files in my bucket. Now, while creation of the table, I want to upload data for all these files into my table. And then what we can do here? Instead of giving the emp.csv, simply give it as a star.csv. Or if you want, we can give it as a star.star. What is the meaning of star.star? In the bucket, it will take all the files, okay? Or if I'm giving the star.csv, what will happen? It will take all the CSV files. For example, you are having some JSON files. What we can do, simply we can give it as a star.json. Like that, you can able to handle the single file, or you can able to handle the multiple files also by depending on our requirement. Now, for the first example, we'll see for the only one file only. Then in the later, we'll see how to we can able to handle the multiple files. For now, I'm giving it as a simply emp.csv.
Sir, you can take 2 to 3 files. Means
No,
a lot of files there. We can only choose 1 and 2.
Yeah, you can take it, but you have to give all the file names manually.
By separated by comma.
Yeah, by separated by comma, you have to give the column names manually.
Okay.
Okay. Now here I given the single file as a emp.csv. After that, what is the file format here? Here we have to take it as a CSV only. Here I'm taking it as a CSV format. Again, source data partitioning. For now, forgot about this only, because if you want to understand, again, we need to discuss about the partitioning concept that we are going to cover up either tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We are going to cover the partitioning concept. For now, you can skip this one. You have to select the file format. Again, we need to give the destination, data set. Here I'm given the table name. For my understanding, I'm given the table name as a employee GCS. Why I'm giving the GCS? Because this table I'm creating by using the option called as a GCS. Just for my understanding, I am given the employee GCS. After that, table type and D. Now, if you see here,
Is it possible to
Excel file. No, we cannot able to upload the Excel file, because if you are going to upload the Excel file, it cannot able to understand the data. Directly, we cannot able to Excel. So to upload the Excel file, we have to do some other operations. Directly, we cannot able to upload the Excel file. Okay.
TXT is not.
Sorry.
TXT.
I didn't get that text file.
.txt file.
Yeah, .txt file you can upload if you want.
But the option is not there. Right?
The option is not there. There you can give the option as a CSV.
Okay.
Okay. Now see here, when we selected the empty file, we are seeing the only one option called as a native table. When we selected the upload also, then what's happening? We are selecting the only option called as a native table. But when we selected the GCS, then what's happening, Andy? It is showing native table and external table. Please remember this statement. By using this statement only, we are going to understand about what is the internal table and what is the external table. And when we given the empty table, it is showing only native table. When we given the upload table, then also it is showing only native table. But when we given the GCS, what's happening here? It is showing the both native table and external table. Please remember these 3 statements, because by using these 3 statements only, we are going to understand about what is the difference between native table and external table. For now, what I'm doing here is I'm giving it as the same native table one more time. After that, how to give the schema? If you want, you can give the column names manually. Otherwise, you can give the option called as a auto detect. For now, I'm giving it as a auto detect. After that, again, if you go to the advanced options, here again same options we can able to see whatever we discussed on the upload. And I'm giving it as a right if empty and giving the delimiter as comma. I'm giving header rows to skip is 1. After giving all these things, just I'm going to click on the create table. Okay, now see here, it created the table called as a employee GCS table. Now we haven't given any columns. We've taken all the columns manually and data types also manually. And if you see the preview, the preview also what's happening, it is taking the data because this data we are having in the file. That's the reason it is taking all this data automatically on top of your output screen. Okay. And if you want to do any kind of operations on top of this data, what we can do here, you can go to the query window. In the query window, we can able to write the queries by depending on our requirement. Now you try to give the answer how to go to query window. Earlier we have written some queries, right? I want to go to that window. How to go?
In the top.
Very simple.
Right in the side.
Just click on these three buttons. Here you can able to see the option called as a query. And by click on this query, you can go to the query window. For example, you want to write the queries on top of this table specifically. Then what we can do here, beside this, click on this, click on query. Otherwise, what we can do here in the left side, you can able to see the option. Here, what's the option we are having? SQL workspace. By click on this also, you can able go to the query window. And we are having multiple options. By depending on your convenience, you can able to take any one of the things. From here, you can go to SQL workspace. Otherwise, beside the table, click on the three dots, and here you can click on the query. With this also, you can able to open the query window. But here one advantage is, if you see, automatically it is given the
table only.
No. You can able to write the queries for other tables also. But what will happen is, beside this table, if you are going to click on these three dots, what's going to happen? It is going to give the query by default like this, and select from. It is given the table name completely automatically. After that, it is given the limit 1000. Just you need to add the star. Instead of writing the table query completely, by using this option, what we can do here, it is given the query automatically. But if you want to open the empty window, completely empty window, what we can do here, from here, click on the SQL workspace, and with that, you can able to open the empty window. And tell me here, from this table, we came to the query window. Now in this query window, can we able to access the other tables?
Yeah,
You can able to access any tables, and because this is just a query window. Okay, in this query window, you can give any table or any database by depending on your requirement. But first time, if you are going to open like this, by default, what's happening here? It is given the respective table name completely. What is the table name it is giving? Project name dot database name dot table name. This is the standard we discussed, right? By using the standard, it is given the complete table name, and it is given the limit 1000. What is the meaning of limit 1000? It will display only 1000 records only. But why it is giving limit 1000? Yesterday we discussed, right? Whenever we are going to deal with a huge amount of data. For example, my table is having 10 lakh records. I forgot to give the limit 1000. If I'm going to run the select star from the table, what will happen? It will try to read all the 10 lakh records. Now you tell me unnecessarily what's happening. It is going to charge the extra money, unnecessarily charging, and just to overcome that, they are given the by default option called as a limit 1000. And as part of doing the practice from your side also, if you want, what you can do here, you can give the limit 1, because just you are trying all the available options in the BigQuery. To see the options, no need to give the select star from the complete table. And anyhow, we are dealing with the only 4 or 5 records only. If you are given the select star from the table also, nothing will happen. Still, if you want to control the charges, what you can do here, you can give it as a limit 1. Now just I'm going to run this query. Now see what's happening. You can able to get the data like this. So we are having only one record here. Okay, only that data we are seeing on top of your output. No, why it is showing only one record? Actually, in my file, I'm having the 5 records.
Limit.
Yeah, so we given the option called as a limit 1 only. If you are not given the limit 1, it will display all the records. But because of given the limit 1, what's happening here? It is displaying the only one record on top of your output. This is the way we can able to understand how we can able to create the GCS tables by depending on our requirement. Okay, now in the same way. So what we covered the empty table, we covered the Google Cloud storage table, and we covered the upload table. Now, after completion of the class, can you try how to create the Google Drive tables? Please explore it, and tomorrow I will show you definitely how we need to create the drive tables also. But after completion of the class, just for your exploreness, try to create the table by using the drive option. You will face some kind of issues. Just to try to figure out the issues. If you could not able to figure it out, tomorrow I will explain how we can able to create the drive tables. Okay, but if you want to try all these 3 things, and Google Big Table or Amazon S3 or Azure, what need to happen? Google Big Table. First, you need to understand what is the Big Table. Then only we can able to create the tables by using the Google Big Table. What about these 2? If you want to use these two options, you need to have the AWS account and you need to have the Azure account. For now, we don't have the accounts only. For that reason, I'm not going to cover these two topics. Whenever time permits, we'll create the AWS account, and by using the AWS account, we'll see how we can able to read the data from the S3 file to our BigQuery table. But you tell me, are we going to see any complete difference when we are going to use the S3 bucket? What will happen mostly? GCS and S3 both are same. Why we are using both? To store the data. In the cloud storage, what we are creating? Buckets. In the Amazon S3 also, what we are creating? Buckets. If you are going to select this option, what will happen? It will ask the path of the Amazon S3 bucket. We need to give the path, but other than giving the path, what is the one more thing we have to maintain between the GCP and AWS? Any guesses?
Credentials.
We need to maintain the communication, and GCP is a one cloud platform. Amazon is a one more cloud platform. Now you want to integrate both the cloud platforms. How we need to integrate? We need to maintain the communication. How we can able to maintain the communication? By using the credentials. Okay, here we are having one kind of credential, there we are having the one more kind of credential. Once you can able to configure all the credentials and the remaining all steps are common. Just it is asking the what is the path of the S3 file. You are going to give the path. After giving the path, what will happen? All the remaining options are same only. Only thing is nothing but we need to establish the communication between the GCP and AWS. Once you are going to establish the communication, with that you can able to load the data from the S3 bucket to our BigQuery table. But for now we don't have the AWS account. For now you don't know how to maintain the buckets in the AWS S3. For that reason we are not discussing this topic now. Whenever time permits, we are going to discuss this topic also. With that you can understand how we can able to communicate between the different clouds by depending on our requirement. Is it clear? Now after completion of the class, what we have to do?
Upload on the drive.
Just I will give the summary. First one, try to create the tables by using console with commands. What you have to do? Try to create all the tables by using the console, by using the commands. And this is the first one. Second one, try to create the tables from console. From console, how many types of tables you need to create? You need to create the empty table, and you need to create upload table, and you need to create GCS table, and you need to explore how to create right table. Okay, so try to perform all this practice after completion of the class, and with that you can able to get the hands-on experience. So once you can do all these kind of activities, and then we are going to discuss about what is the internal table, what is the external table, what is the partitioning, what is the clustering. All these are the different topics we need to discuss. But if you want to understand all those topics perfectly, you should have some kind of basic knowledge about all these type of tables and how we are creating all these tables. And once we are going to create all these tables, what will happen? You will get some kind of understanding on the BigQuery. You will get some kind of exploredness on top of the BigQuery. With that, we can able to understand all the topics in a very easy way. What is internal table? What is the external table? What is the partitioning? What is the clustering? All those topics you can able to understand after doing the practice for these topics. Okay. So today complete the practice for all these things. Tomorrow we'll discuss about the remaining topics on top of our BigQuery. Is it clear? Okay. Now,
Sir, actually, as per our data engineer roles and responsibilities, we are doing daily this creating table already. Not daily.
Yeah, someone is asking. So, are we going to create the tables daily as a cloud data engineer? See, answer is I can able to say sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, for example, if you are working in the project which is starting from the scratch level, in the project, how many tables we have to create? So by depending on the project requirement, either you are going to create the 100 tables or 120 tables a day, but we are going to create all these 100 tables at the same day. No, right? First day you will create the 2 tables, second day you are going to create the 2 tables, third day you are going to create the 2 tables. But tell me, after 1 month or 2 months, what will happen? Table creation activity completed. Okay, which is nothing but initially daily you are going to create the tables, but after 1 month or 2 months, what is going to happen? Can you please silence? Hello, last bench. Last bench. Silence. Make sense. Okay. So table creation activity you completed in 1 month or 2 months only. Now after 2 months, no need to create the tables again and again. Then what we are going to do here? We are going to perform the loading activities. Okay, we are going to perform the loading activities by using the different ways. So that's why I'm saying that sometimes answer is yes, sometimes answer is no. Okay, so if you are working in the project which is starting from the scratch level, during the initial days you need to create the tables on the daily basis. After that, no need to create the tables only, but daily what operation we are going to perform? Daily we are going to perform the operation called as a load operation. But tell me, this load operation also we are going to perform manually, or by using the orchestration tool we are going to perform this operation?
Yeah, orchestration.
By using orchestration tools we are going to perform this operation. But who need to configure the orchestration tools? As a cloud data engineer, we need to configure the orchestration tool, and in the orchestration tool, we need to provide our entire code, or we need to provide all the information to run the orchestration tools, and all those kind of activities we need to perform as a cloud data engineer. But tell me, as a cloud data engineer, are we going to perform these operations also or not? We are going to perform these operations, creation of the tables, and we are going to perform the loading operations. We are going to configure the orchestration tools and everything. And indirectly, I can able to say we are going to perform all these operations as part of our real-time projects. But tell me, out of all these operations, one operation we are not going to perform on the regular basis. What is that operation? Are we going to use the console in the real time? No, we are not going to use the console. And see here, whatever the topics we discussed today, can we able to perform same operations by using the Cloud SDK or not? We can able to do the same operations by using the Cloud SDK. Might be tomorrow or day after tomorrow, we'll discuss about that topic also, Randy. Whatever the operations we are doing from the console, same operations we are going to perform by using the Cloud SDK also. In the real time, either we are going to use the Cloud SDK or we are going to use the Python programming. By using any one of these two options only, we are going to create the tables, or we are going to load the data as part of our real-time projects. Is it clear?
So this orchestration tools means
Orchestration tools
like Airflow, Composer.
We are having some tools called as Airflow, and we are having the Composer, and we are, like this we are having some orchestration tools. And in the coming days, you can call it as automation tool, but we are using this for the purpose of loading the data or for the purpose of scheduling the jobs. And so for now, if you don't know about the orchestration, for now if you don't know about the Airflow or Composer, forget about all these terminologies. And in the coming classes, we are going to cover in detail what is the orchestration, what is the Airflow, what is the Composer, how we are going to perform the orchestration, how we are going to schedule the jobs. Everything we are going to cover in detail as part of our coming classes.
So I have one doubt.
Yeah, please.
So is there any primary key concept in this
No,
BigQuery?
No, in the BigQuery we don't have any such kind of concepts.
Okay. That means if there is any unique value, means it should be required value. It should come under required.
No, in the required it is maintain the not null values and not unique values.
Okay. That means if there is a column to maintain the unique values, means how can we justify for that?
No, we need to take care manually only. We cannot able to justify that.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please.
When you handling the errors, like 2 errors, 3 errors, at that time in the column of integer you are putting string, right?
Yes.
So how it is possible, sir? It will violation the concept will become separate.
No, come again. I didn't repeat. Last line, can you please repeat?
When you insert the integer column, in the integer column you are putting the character string.
Yes.
So it is not violating the rule.
Yeah, that's the reason it will throw the error, right? See, in the integer column, by mistake or intentionally, you are trying to load the string values. Okay. If you are trying to load the string values into the integer column, what will happen? It will throw the error.
Okay.
Okay. See here just for the example, I'm saying that in the integer column we are trying to pass the string values, and I know that is the error. That's the reason only what will happen if you are trying to perform this operation as part of data loading. What will happen? It will throw the error. Okay. Now what I will do here, I'm giving the option as a 2. What is the meaning of 2 and D? If there are any 2 errors, I want to skip the errors. Now tell me here. For example, you are trying to load the 100 records or 1000 records. Out of these 1000 records, 2 records are having the error. Remaining people, you also try to give the answer for this question. Out of 1000 records, 2 records are having the error. Now, while creation of the table from the console, I given the option as a error is equal to 2, which is nothing but I want to allow the 2 errors only. Now, you tell me, when we are giving this option as part of loading the 1000 records, if we are having the 2 records as a error, now how many records it will load into the target table?
998.
Load 998 or it will load the 1000 records?
998.
Load 998 records. It will load 9. See, it is accepting 2 errors. What is the meaning of accepting? it will not accept those values into the table, because in the integer column, can it able to store the string value? No, right? It won't accept. But what is happening here? Because of one error, your job is not going to fail, or because of two errors, your job is not going to fail. Your job will success. But after the completion of the job, how many records you are going to see? You are going to see only 998, because two records are having the error. But because of this error, your job is not failing, your job is succeeding. But how many records it is loading? Only 998. Now, for example, out of these 1000 records, now 3 records are having the error. Then what will happen?
990.
Now your job will fail. Okay, because here we given the limit as a 2, but how many errors we are getting? 3. For that reason, what will happen? Now job will fail, saying that 3 errors are having the issue. Okay, here my intention is, whenever we are given the error 2, don't assume that it will load those 2 error records also into the table, and it won't allow those 2 records. It will allow only remaining 998 records. Okay, which is nothing but 2 records are having the error. Even we are having the error, what is happening? Your job is not failing, your job is succeeding by allowing the 998 records on top of your table. Now, for example, here I'm given the option as a 0. Now what will happen?
Don't allow any errors.
Your job will fail, because you are given the error as a 0, but as part of loading, I'm getting the 3 errors. So automatically what will happen? Your job will fail. It will not allow the data on top of your table. That is the meaning of the error. Don't assume that when I'm given the error as a 2, it is going to allow the string values into the integer column only. It will not allow any such kind of value. It will skip those 2 error records. It will load the remaining records on top of your table. That is the one we need to understand as part of our error option.
Sir, one more thing here.
1 second.
So the thing is,
1 second.
okay, sure.
Is there any? No, we don't have any limited. You can put any value. It doesn't make sense. So that's the reason what will happen in the real time. What will happen is we are going to maintain some kind of threshold values only. So first we are asking the question: do we have any limit? So what I'm telling, if you want, you can give it as 1000 also. But as you mentioned, if you are given the 1000 records, we are given the 1000 errors. Is there any meaning? No, right? No. So that's the reason we are going to follow some kind of threshold values in the real time only. In this threshold value, maximum we are going to give the 1% or 2% by depending on your project requirement. For example, you know what kind of data you are getting in the project. So for example, your team lead is working in the same client from last 1 year. He can understand what kind of data we are getting. For example, in this last 1 year, they are not seeing any kind of issues from the data set. Then what they will do, simply they will give it as a 1%. For example, in this last 1 year, so many times they observe that source team is sending the wrong data. In the integer, they are sending the string value. In the string, they are sending some other kind of value. They are facing this kind of issues from the last 1 year. In the situation, what they will do? They will give it as, for example, 2%, or they can give it as a 5%, which is nothing but, if you want to define the threshold, first we need to understand what type of data we are getting, what kind of quality data we are getting. By understanding all these things in the project, your project lead or your admin team will decide how much threshold value we have to give. That is 1% or 2% or 5%. By depending on the requirement, we are going to define the threshold values on top of your option. Is it clear?
Yes.
Sir, actually, in other databases.
1 second. Yeah, please. See, if you want to define these values, can't we define it from SDK? All these are the different options, and okay. So by using the options keyword, what we can do here from the cloud SDK also, we can able to define all these kind of options. In the console, whatever the options we are seeing, you can define all those options from the cloud SDK also by depending on your requirement. Your question is, who will define those values in the console? So actually in the real time, what is going to happen? We are not going to define all this information in the console. Where we are defining in the cloud SDK. In the cloud SDK, by using the options keyword, you can define all these options by depending on your requirement. Who will use the console approach? No one will use console approach, I can say. Okay, this is one thing. And second thing is, if you are working in the dev environment, sometimes there are the chances you are going to work on the console. This is one more thing. Okay. And third thing, so if your team is having DevOps team, or if your team is having any L2 team only, so might be they're also having the console access. Okay, but in the console also, what they can do here, they can't able to do any kind of changes. They can able to see the content in the console. But as a cloud data engineer or as a developer, you are not going to get the console access. But in the dev environment, there is the possibility. But if you're going to work in the production environment, definitely you're not going to get the console option. But who can able to get it? Might be DevOps team or L2 team are going to get the console access. Sometimes they're also having only read-only access. Okay. Yeah. Now, online people, you are asking something. Please continue.
Yeah, sir, like other databases, we are having UV table and error table, right? Like here also, is there like not UV? Maybe we don't have any duplicates. So is there an error table here? But see, we have given 2 or 3 limit, right?
No, and we don't have any error table, but this error because will capture in the some other place that I will cover in the tomorrow session where it is capturing.
Okay, for analysis.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. So whenever you are getting the error, compulsory we have to do the analysis. So if you want to do the analysis, how we need to do the analysis, or whenever job is failing, how we need to analyze the job failure, all the that is the separate topic. Mostly that will cover in the tomorrow session or in the day after tomorrow session. Okay. Yeah.
Sir,
Okay,
I'm having it.
Yeah, 1 second, Andy. So other people, if you don't have any kind of doubts, you can leave for the day. 1 second. So whomever is having the doubts, please stay here. And if you don't have any other doubts, you can leave for the day. And today onwards, we are going to schedule the one-on-one meetings, Andy. Okay, with every person I will talk. Okay. So first I'm planning to handle the offline people. After completion of offline people, then I will come to the online people. Okay. So today, for how many people I can able to complete by considering all of our classes and timings? At max, I can able to complete 10 people only. See whomever is available in the offline. Our admin team will call you. You can come and discuss with me. So what we are going to discuss in this meeting? If you have any kind of questions from career perspective only. So don't come and ask me, sir, what is the BigQuery or what is the GCS? Don't ask me such kind of things. Further, one-on-one is not required. Within the class only, you can ask those kind of questions only. What is the purpose of this one-on-one? Purpose is for the any kind of career guidance. Okay. So as I told you yesterday, if anyone is having 10 years of gap or 10 years of experience, you want to put the experience on the cloud data engineer, how you need to put? Such kind of questions are someone is having the 3 years of gap only and they want to plan to put the cloud data engineering experience, how you need to plan, or you are facing some kind of issues as part of understanding or as part of doing the practice. So in such kind of situation, what you need to do? Okay. So like this definitely some people are having this kind of questions, and I want to clarify all such kind of questions in this one-on-one meeting. You can come up with any kind of questions, but as I told you, don't come up with the technical questions, and come up with the career perspective questions. So I will try to help you for your career guidance, and with that what will happen, you can able to get some kind of good motivation, and with that what will happen, you can attend the classes and you can get the certificates and you can try to get the job. So during this one-on-one meeting, completely what we are going to do here, we are going to discuss all the things from the career perspective. So please frame all your questions on your paper if you want, because during the meeting might be you cannot able to recollect all your questions, right? So that's the reason, try to write all your questions in your one paper, and please come up with all those questions. I will give the answers for all such kind of questions. With that, you will get the clarity about how you need to put the experience or how you need to cope up on the cloud data engineering concepts. Okay. So first one, as I told you, we are going to cover the offline people, and that too, first we are going to cover the new batch plus 18 batch. And after completion of these batches, then we are going to cover remaining batch students and whomever is present in this class. Remaining batch people I'm going to cover. So first we are going to complete the offline people from the new batch and from 18th batch. After that, we are going to cover all the remaining people who came from the other batches. Is it clear, or any questions in this one? Please ask me.
Yes.
Okay. And the admin team will come and they will call your names only. So accordingly, you can come and meet me after completion of the class. Is it clear? Okay, so that's all for now. So online people, any questions?
Sir, is there any terms or like any criteria giving on weekly basis or bi-weekly?
What is the dump survey? I didn't get that.
No, like what are the real time, how we need to handle all those things?
Yeah, that's a separate topic we are going to cover in detail.
Yeah,
So for example, if I'm going to start discussing about real-time scenarios now itself, so far what topics we covered? We covered only GCS and we covered only compute engine.
Yeah, only on those topics.
Okay, and we are discussing about only BigQuery. It's in progress, and now by using only these three or only these two, we cannot able to cover any real-time scenarios. And that's the reason I haven't started any real-time scenarios. So once we are going to complete the BigQuery, at least we can able to start the real-time scenarios, or after completion of the data problem. Then what will happen? You understood about the 4 different services which are present in the GCP. With this, we can able to understand the real-time scenarios in the proper way. By using the only GCS or by using the only compute engine, you cannot able to understand the real-time scenarios. That's the reason I haven't started the real-time scenarios so far. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're asking something.